And I was taken on board this incredible vessel of light, of interdimensional kind of light that was, it was like a plasma metal. I was introduced to children that were presented as my own hybrid children, and they looked like me, they resembled me, they had my energy. But the thing is, when I became pregnant, I was a virgin. But as I made eye contact with them, I had telepathic communication, and all of the memories started to come back that I had. And in the planet Maya, I was shown that I was Pleiadian many lifetimes. And then in 2018, I had a near-death experience. And in that near-death experience, I entered into the death realm, essentially. And this is where I discovered the relationship between Earth and the soul. And there is something called the law of accident. Every time that our frequency shifts in order to wake us up into consciousness, we receive information that shakes us out of a lower frequency into a state of awareness. We are constantly moving in and out of many dimensions. We are constantly surrounded by entities, being deceased souls, higher dimensional beings, and all of what surrounds us is based on our core vibrational frequency. Where our power lies is this: if we alchemize.
Hi, this is Akanksshaa. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. If you resonate with me, please like, comment, and share. Welcome to Multidimensional Soul Podcast and a Talk Show. On this show, we have with us today Geraldine Orozco from the US. She is an epigenetic psychotherapist and a clinical hypnotherapist. A very warm welcome, Geraldine, on Multidimensional Soul Podcast and a Talk Show. It's an honor to have you here.
Akanksshaa, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. It's such an honor to be here with you. Thank you. And please repeat your name so that I can say it properly.
It's Akanksshaa.
Akanksshaa. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. And namaste. I understand that you were abducted by aliens and you have had some very extraordinary experiences with extraterrestrials. So can you talk about that?
Sure. So I'm a lifelong contactee. I've had experiences with the interdimensional since I was a little child. Now, interdimensionality is a natural part of the human experience. We are constantly moving in and out of many dimensions. We are constantly surrounded by entities, being deceased souls, higher dimensional beings, and all of what surrounds us is based on our core vibrational frequency. And so we will attract the beings that are in resonance with us at the time. And that's at any point in our evolutionary process. So since I was a child, I'm interacting with these beings, and I would not name them aliens or ET beings. When I was a child, I would see them as white lights, as orbs, beings of, angelic type beings. And that's as far as it would go. But it wasn't until about 2013 that I went into retreat for about 4 months. And it was in that time that I began to completely deprogram all of my core belief systems, every single trauma that I've had, all the way down to my childhood into like the very early ages. And this is where I began to question what is beyond this, and who maintains this kind of structure in our society to make us have the very powerful beliefs that we're kind of inheriting through generations. Who's in charge of that structure? How does that manifest? And that is when I had this incredible experience in October of 2013. I was taken on board a craft out of my bedroom at 3:33 in the morning, completely conscious, completely awake, completely aware. And I was taken on board this incredible vessel of light, of interdimensional kind of light that was, it was like a plasma metal kind of substance. And the entire craft was very conscious. It felt me entering, and likewise, I saw my aunt there when I was on board the craft. And my aunt, I'll tell you about that later, but basically, I was shown so much information about everything that I had been since the very origin of time. I was introduced to children that were presented as my own hybrid children, and they looked like me, they resembled me, they had my energy, and I could not remember when I had seen these beings before. But as I made eye contact with them, I had telepathic communication, and all of the memories started to come back that I had actually engaged with them several times throughout my life. These are memories that were suppressed. And it was scenarios that, it was very hard for me to conceptualize. Later, I was taken to the Pleiades. I was taken to the planet Maya. And in the planet Maya, I was shown that I was Pleiadian many lifetimes. They showed me two main lifetimes that I had incarnated. And I speak of this as if it's the past, but in reality, these are simultaneous timelines. Yeah, very good. So, it was very interesting to see that. Eventually, they were showing me what I was going to be doing in the future on Earth. And they also showed me how the matrix functions. They showed me the very cellular molecular level of the matrix, of the humans, the difference between the human soul, that life force potential, and matter, materials, essence and consciousness, and how that functions, how we engage with matter, how we can essentially manipulate, work with life force, utilize life force in order to animate things and also to eventually experience death, So, that allowed me to experience an incredibly profound feeling of peace. And I found myself at 6:15 upside down on my bed. I wake up, my entire body is sore, it's hurting. And I sleep the whole weekend. And on Monday, I wake up and go to work. And in front of my client, I can see her entire body. I can see all the energy moving through her body. I can see the chakras. I can see her emotions, how they manifest as energy, different colors. I can see her organs, what they're doing, her thoughts, her emotions, what she had for breakfast. And so it opened this incredible psychic ability. Basically, I was listening to the conversations of my neighbors 3 houses down from my house. I can see in between walls. I can hear in between walls. So it took a long time to integrate that, maybe 4-6 months. Everything that I had taught myself in that retreat allowed me to learn and to dive deeper into the mechanisms of the energy systems, healing systems, emotional patterns in our body, and the foundations of how we manifest life experiences based on our energy system. So that changed my life completely. And the experiences did not stop there. In 2017, I had hypnotic regressions, which are public. You can watch them and you can see how I am uncovering, downloading, and channeling information about the origin of the humans on the planet, as I was shown through history. And then in 2018, I had a near-death experience. And in that near-death experience, I entered into the death realm, essentially. And this is where I discovered the relationship between Earth and the soul, and dream walking, lucid dreaming, how we engage in these altered states of consciousness when we unfold from the body or when we leave the body in astral projection. And that's where I started to understand how to work and how to prepare, essentially, as all ancient civilizations had been teaching us. So I'll stop there.
Wow, that is a huge, extremely incredible experiences. And I have seen your hypnotherapy sessions. When you went for the first time, when the interdimensional, I'm assuming they were Pleiadians who were there, who took you along with them. Were you there in physical form? Was it in astral form? How was it?
They were Pleiadians, but they were gray-like beings, very tall grays, about 7 foot tall. So in contact, the height tells you a lot about the dimension from which they come from. The taller they are, the higher the dimension they usually come from. The less physicality they have, the higher dimension, even higher dimension they come from. The shorter they are, the more physical, dense energy they are. So in this craft, there was a mix of both of those sizes, short and also tall. However, they all were participant of some kind of Pleiadian communication. They were part of some kind of council, some lineage of the Pleiadian, which is part of me, of course. The experience that I had is very interesting. I felt the wall dissolve through my body as I was being pulled through the wall. And when I returned back to my room, I had little burn marks over here, like as if I had been in the sun yesterday, and I had like a scar of the sunset, the sunburn right over here, and my feet were dirty, as if I had been walking outside. It felt like a very physical experience. However, as a researcher, as working with hundreds, thousands of contactees now over the last 15 years, I understand that the majority of our contact experience is interdimensional, but it has to do with our vibrational frequency. We can travel with our physical body if we shift our frequency enough into platonic solids. When we shift the natural geometry of our body to match higher dimensions, we can actually transform, shape, and enter into these realms. And that's exactly how I experienced that myself.
I can completely resonate with that because while coming back to the body, you can have these little scars, and
yes,
after coming back from astral travel, so I have experienced it myself, so I can completely resonate with that. Yeah, you talked about hybrid babies, and that's like really mind blowing. So, can you talk a little bit in detail about how did you have these babies? Where did you conceive them? What I understand from different sources is that humans were created as an experiment with hybrid DNA. I don't know how far this is true, but there is a belief with some in science and spiritual community that this was Earth itself was created as an experiment, as a school, and humans were created as hybrids with DNA mixing or something like that. So, can you talk about that and also about how did you have your babies?
Yes. So first of all, we need to understand about sex. In our world, unfortunately, our understanding of sex has been very severely inverted. And it's been manipulated in a way that we equate sex with sin or with lust or with simple procreation, this descending of our name. And really, our understanding of procreation is also quite limited. In the ancient scriptures of understanding the human body, the human energy system, the creation of a life is one of the most potent tools and gifts that the human has. But in order to create a soul that is incredibly magnetic, incredibly fast centripetal spinning, because every time the cells go into the mitosis, there's an explosion of life force. And it's almost as if a photograph of the entire universe is captured into that biology of the cells of that new organism. It's a magnificent creation. When that creation is made with pure love, which means that the human body comes into right order, into order with the natural cycles of the earth, with creation, with pure love, letting go of all the limiting belief systems, fears, and anxieties. That pure love and that union of the pure love, both parents, the mother and the father, they experience something called the alchemical marriage. The alchemical marriage is two wholes becoming one. When that union is created, the child that is born from there is a super fast spinning vortex of energy that is highly intuitive, advanced psychically, in its higher faculties, telepathic communication, and it remembers. The most important aspect is that it remembers who it is. It doesn't go through the elimination of memory at the time of birth and of conception. The more those children are cultivated through love, the more they are powerful beings of co-creation. That being said, our human race essentially is seeded by three main bloodlines. This is what I'm shown. A reptilian, Pleiadian, and a Middle Earth race. And they were shown to me as a red, a blue, and a green bloodline. Now, this has a lot of symbolisms. If we read the book of Enoch, the tablets of Gilgamesh, the emerald tablets, we begin to see some ancient history allowing us to understand that the angels that we've connected with were the ones that helped seed the human race. And we have many, many stories of that throughout history around the entire planet Earth history. We are definitely a hybridized race. I do not believe that we are a school, and I don't believe that we're an experiment. This universe is way, way more intelligent, and nature has such perfection in its creation that everything is maintaining an order and a balance beyond our comprehension as humans. So we don't exist randomly, and whatever experiences we're here to experience, it's by vibrational frequency, by density. We are here experiencing duality in the three-dimensional realm, which is the union of the alchemical marriage. But in the process of learning that, or experiencing that, I should say, the entire consciousness is growing through that, is experiencing through that. I don't believe it's a prison planet. I don't believe that the hybridization program is only parasitic. Okay, so now let's talk about the hybridization and how does it work. We are creators in the three-dimensional realm. We are designed to create. We create with our words, with our intentions, our emotions, and then the children that we bring, the souls that we anchor into this planet, which, as I mentioned, it's the creation of universe, of consciousness, of a soul. The hybridization program is about creations of souls. It's not about the survival of any one species, because DNA is so ample. In our DNA, it holds the capacity of the entire universal history we have in our DNA. And it really just depends what we are turning, the genes that we turn on and off, in order to recover memory as this physical vessel. So the hybridization program is, or the idea that there's a hybridization program, what I see is that it's the sustainability of this matrix. Matrix is a construct. It is design construct. The construct that is designed by the Middle Earth beings, based on the natural resources of this planet, on the physical limitations and expansions of this planet, and the biological limitations of this system. It's something that we call the morphogenetic field. The morphogenetic field is the instruction manual that brings into form our physical body. So many species that are cousins of these lineages are essentially collaborating with us in order to bring souls based on vibrational frequency. We play a huge role in the selection of the souls that come in, and also in the selection of the ones that we create. We make agreements, contractual agreements, to participate in the hybridization program. The hybridization programs are not just occurring in this moment. When we realize and we're presented to our children, those can be children that are created in other lifetimes, other timelines, but sometimes we feel the physical effects in this lifetime in order to wake us up. It's part of the law of accident. There is something called the law of accident. Every time that our frequency shifts in order to wake us up into consciousness, we receive information that shakes us out of a lower frequency into a state of awareness. Okay, so that's one part. So in my experience, I was shown that I had 24 hybrid children. And these hybrid children doesn't mean I've had them in my current lifetime. It means that I've participated in the creation of 24 souls universally, multiversally, beyond time and space. And the children that were presented to me in this lifetime were four children out of eight souls that were created. Those little children, I had dreams about them since I was a child. My mother would bring them from a white light and present them to me in dreams when I was 7, 6, 5 years old. I did experience insemination memories some mechanical, some in petri dishes with my genetic data. All of these are screen images that we create in order to conceptualize the creation of these souls. And I understand that that's very difficult for a lot of people to understand, because we feel that we were sometimes, I have some clients that say, I had a very traumatic experience. I was taken. I don't remember anything. And all of a sudden, I had this experience of being pregnant. And then I lost the child. And that happened to me too. But the thing is, when I became pregnant, I was a virgin. I did not have, I was 16 years old the first time. And I went to the doctor. The doctor saw me, virgin. And I had markings in my body showing that I had had previous pregnancies at 16 years old. But, I hadn't. It was all in dream time that I had those experiences. Later on, my partner passed away. 6 months after he passed away, I find myself pregnant again. I was, not dating anyone. I was grieving during that time, So then I find myself pregnant. Go back to the doctor. Well, you must have wanted to have a child. And I thought maybe the angels are blessing me with a child from my beloved that passed away. The child is gestating for 3 months. And then after that, nothing, absolutely gone. No trace of a pregnancy, no fetus, nothing after 3 months. So that happened to me a couple times in my life. But the connection was that in those pregnancies, I had powerful dreams of being taken on board craft, lights inserted into the body, and then having these sensations and these feelings. So this is what we experience as humans. Later on in the hypnosis, when I'm recovering these messages, I begin to realize that I had made agreements with these different species. And some of them that were seemingly very traumatic, they were more parasitic nature. These were made in the astral plane. It also driven by the military. So there are a couple different kinds of programs. There's very high vibration programs where the soul is created for the evolution of mankind. And then there's very parasitic programs that even military is involved in, because the military manages the biological nuclear warfare department, is responsible for these kinds of experimentations. And they've been doing them since the 40s, 30s, long time. So this does go into a little bit deeper topic in which we do kind of need to touch on a eugenics program. What is the eugenics program? The selection of DNA, the difference between active DNA and DNA that is going in the system of destruction. When a human is highly intuitive, again, created through alchemy, the DNA of that child becomes a portal of memory to many universes that are included in the child's DNA. Very valuable. This is targeted by a lot of these kinds of parasitic programs. Okay. And so that's something that we need to become sovereign. We need to understand wake-up consciousness in our dream time so that we can understand the kind of agreements that we are doing and break those contractual agreements that are more parasitic.
Wow, very profound. And I can completely resonate with you because I have had some of these experiences myself. I would like to know, and there are so many conspiracy theories, and especially as light workers and star seeds are waking up and doing the work for the collective, the dark forces are also rising. And when you talked about parasitic dark forces and military doing this without your consent, probably, and creating these kind of souls. So can you talk a little bit more about that as to how these dark forces are working? Who are they? And when you talked about military, is it physical military or is it the military at the galactic level? And how do you make sure that you are sovereign? Because that is the end game. what everything is happening is because you give your power away in this societal conditioning, and even seemingly, good leaders, say religious or spiritual leaders, but they are working with the dark forces. So
Exactly.
how do you claim that sovereignty? How do you discern? How do you know that, okay, these are the dark ones with the agenda? And so can you talk about that? Who are
Yeah,
these and how do you become sovereign?
absolutely. The number one key to understand that we are sovereign is free will. We are 100% able to manage our free will only if you realize that you have free will. Majority of humanity is in a hypnotic state, unconscious, unaware, deeply programmed, socialized, social engineering, manipulated by music, sound, movies, films, to make you feel things, think things that are going against nature, natural order, natural law. Any manipulation of nature, any manipulation of a pure state of something. What is purity? Purity is an untouched, unmanipulated state of being, a raw state of authenticity. So, what we want to learn to discern is to find this divine, pure state of existence in ourselves, and that manifestation of your raw authenticity becomes a magnetic force field that moves your vortex. We are vortices. It moves your vortex in a centripetal manner where your energy is inwardly directed to your connection to your higher self, the integration, clearing, constant energetic hygiene of blockages, emotion, traumas, the past, the future, in the absolute present moment. When we embody the present moment, that's when our body begins to move in a centripetal manner. This is where you can remember free will and utilize free will in your engagements, always maintaining natural order, natural law. We do abide by natural laws of the universe. One of those laws being free will, laws of resonance, laws of creation. Let's talk about the law of free will. What does that mean? The law of free will, essentially, beings that are of the highest vibrational frequency, they do not interfere with you because they allow the soul to have that free will, to experience death, life, everything, pain, suffering. It's okay. It's part of our growing. The lower parasitic is all about self-serving, exchanging, manipulating. I give you information, you give me your life force. I give you this experience, you give me your fear, you give me your, reverence. So anything that starts to manipulate our consciousness, whether it's a channeled message, and mind you, when I first started being open, I got millions of invitations from all these star systems wanting to channel through you, wanting to give you information. You have to listen very carefully to the kind of messages being given, because in there is where you're going to find those manipulations, those inversions. So let's talk about the parasitism with the government. We're talking about a global shadow government. We're not talking about the little cosmetic government that we have all around the world that is being shown the presidential table. All of those systems are mainly managed by the 127 main corporations. There is an umbrella corporation that owns all of these systems: the food industry, pharmaceutical industry, the media, your clothing, you name it. These are manipulated and primarily driven by certain bloodlines that have been preserved through history. And they make up this shadow government. If we follow those bloodlines back to the origin point, you're going to find that since the beginning of time, since Egypt, and even before that, these bloodlines were privy to very ancient information. They were the ancient texts that were hidden and removed from the Bible, from all of these ancient religions that held the truth about the human potential. All of that information was scrapped and it was replaced with the Bible and other religions, Muslim religion, many religions that were derived from there, but the true information was put away. And that created a kind of a control mechanism in our history. One of those controls is eugenics, because they understand that the blueprint of the human is your DNA. If you slowly destroy that, the human forgets, never wakes up, never remembers. And you can destroy DNA with food, pharmaceuticals, illness, viruses, man-made viruses, and then, of course, the destruction of the connection to the higher self. You make them dependent on anything except their own self. So this hybridization program is essentially to create clone-like beings. It is artificial transhumanist models of humanity. Now, we think of transhumanism, we think something far away in the future. But in reality, even right now, we are kind of becoming transhumanists, because we are becoming and programmed by, for example, the cell phones, media, and biologically, neurologically, and biochemically, we are being addicted and completely becoming codependent of certain technologies. All of this plays a role in the limitation of DNA. So this is a form of transhumanism, and it's going to become even stronger. Going into the future, we're going into a timeline split. One of transhumanism, one of organic technology. The organic technology is the higher faculty. It is the connection to the higher self, self-healing, self-regenerating, sovereignty. So these government parasitic programs, they select bloodlines that are very intuitive, that have a lot of history. For example, Christ consciousness, the whole story of Jesus. And, it's more of an example of human potential. All of the ancient deities that have been shown in many different religions, they are all examples of human potential. So that being said, when humans embody this Christic state of co-creation and evolution, they can break away and become lucid in our dream state. So when we are taken from these military programs, they start very early. So little kids are going to school, for example, and then they're taken out of school. They are tested for their psychic abilities. And it happened to me as a child. I was taken out of school, and I was done psychological testing and psychic testing. They would show me a little picture, and I would have to guess what's on the other side of that picture. And many tests like this, both in physical school and also in the dream state. Taken in dream state into underground bases, things that look like different planetary systems. Okay, so the hybridization program starts there. The children that are highly intuitive are the ones that are selected for the hybridization program. And usually the hybridization program from the military is very traumatic, because they're using clandestine technology. A lot of it is pharmaceutical chemicals to drug the person, implant memories, insert memories biochemically. So the human will think it's an ET experience, but when they go through hypnotherapy and we uncover the layers, it was never that. It was actually something completely different. That does exist. It is happening. And I work with many clients that have those experiences. On the other side of that, is the higher vibrational agendas. These are non-physical, less form, as I mentioned, and the purpose of that hybridization program is to pull forward the evolution of man. Again, they select high-level bloodlines that are conscious, that have a lot of intuitive ability in families. One of the most important parts of my research is in finding that groups of families are abducted. It's not just one person. Usually if there's one person, the whole family has had experiences. I was able to interview several families, even the grandfather of families, and begin to look at the connection of the contact they're having. A lot of them begin to talk about the same kind of beings, like they all connect with blue beings. They don't know the names sometimes, but they see the same one. You have them draw it, and it's the same. So I've encountered that many, many, many times. It's very interesting. So from my research, contact is in our DNA. We have in our history, in our genetic history, all of these species that we're interacting with. It can be Pleiadians, Lyrans, and the thing is that the more you can identify them as Pleiadians, Arcturians, Lyrans, usually these beings are from the 13th dimension and under. Usually the higher vibrational ones, they don't have names, they don't have forms. It's more difficult to pinpoint them. From what I see, I believe that all of those beings from the 13th dimension under, there's still some kind of exchange. So our free will takes place when we choose and we as best as we can discern our participation in the creation. Now, where our power lies, every child that we create, either in the planet Earth, because our children are also hybrid. You and I, we are hybrid. We are pulling timelines and historically ancestral lineages, both terrestrial and cosmic ancestry. We're seeding into this planet. So where our power lies is this: if we alchemize our trauma and we clear our blockages energetically, we also affect our offspring energetically and through consciousness. This is extremely important for all the hybrid parents that I work with internationally. They can change the timeline, even if it's created for a parasitic program. By healing and working with our contractual agreement, we can change this timeline of the children that we're connecting with. I've seen it over and over again. So this is where our power lies, in working lovingly, compassionately, as best as possible. When we elevate to the highest vibrational frequency, we affect entire generations. We heal, and we still respect the law of free will, because it's not that you're imposing a healing. You heal yourself. This is how you open space for others.
Yeah, absolutely. So profound. I do know that DNA is the seat of consciousness, and as you rightly said, that the deities show us, they're probably called as the archetypes in the terminology that we use, that they show us the maximum potential or a huge potential that you can have. That way we all have limitless potential. And I do resonate so much about not choosing these parasitical contracts and not giving into these kind of give and take where your power is given away. And it is fine in the waking state and in the conscious state. What happens in the dream state is that there are tricksters and there are shapeshifters, and you don't know exactly what kind of being or entity you are talking to. And they may take you to lower astral planes. And at that time, because we are still not in that state of consciousness, where in Indian scriptures is called Turiya, where you are aware in all states of consciousness, whether waking, sleeping, dreaming, you are aware and conscious, and you completely have sovereignty and you have your free will and you are aware of that. Many people have not reached that state. And in the dreaming state, what happens is even those who are awakening tend to fall prey to these tricksters and parasitical entities and give away their power. So how do you protect yourself in that state?
Beautiful question. Thank you. First, we need to understand there is no right or wrong. It's a very hard concept for us to understand, because we want to control and we only want good, right? We're afraid of the bad. The human experience in the three-dimensional realm of duality is specifically for us to overcome, to transcend the limitations, the fear behind the unknown. Everything we fear is unknown, and we tend to equate the unknown as something negative or bad. In the realm of exploration, especially in your dream state, we need to learn and we need to cultivate the resilience multidimensionally to be able to be present of a draconian in the same way we're in the presence of a being of angelic light. How do we do this? It's the cultivation of the 0 point. Our human body is such a divine advanced technology beyond any technology that you can think of yet. We're getting there. AI is trying to become like us naturally. We are, when our human body, because it functions like a vortex, as I mentioned earlier, the more that you come into a 0 point, then that means the deprogramming of limiting belief systems. Now, first of all, how do you attract negative experiences? Negative, remember, I say it in quotations because I don't believe in that kind of definition. We have within ourselves, somewhere in our subconscious mind, that vibrational frequency, that belief system. In order to embody the 0 point, we have to be working constantly in the healing of those traumatic aspects, the hidden subconscious core belief systems that make us resonant to parasitism. It means we are parasitic somehow within ourselves. This is a tough lesson. It took me a long time to really understand that. We tend to connect with victim role, disempowerment, because we are afraid even of our own power. To be powerful means to take absolute responsibility for your creation. And we create from the subconscious mind. So if we don't know what's in our subconscious mind, of course, we're going to be fearful all the time. The invitation is that you know your unknown. Sit with your unknown, sit with your deepest fears, and work on alchemizing that. Every fear that you have is connected to multiple lifetimes in which you have, quote unquote, reached the maximum of your evolution, limited your evolution. Every time that you overcome, transcend the fear, you liberate a fractal of your soul that is trapped in these timelines, and you regain the wisdom and the power of that lifetime. You can anchor it into this lifetime. Hypnotherapy is amazing for that. As a hypnotherapist, that's what I do with my clients. And we are learning to expand our field of light. That's what it means. It doesn't mean imagining light. This is a deep transmutational work that is built by creating a right order, a symmetry, a geometry within the human light structure that is built by the deprogramming of these limiting belief systems. And so the 0 point is the most absolute non-judgmental observer. Okay, that is something we are learning. Meditation techniques like Vipassana, most beautiful technique to begin to train yourself. Try doing that for 3 months as a foundation for any work every single day. Then you will be able to go deeper into the emotional work. Because we have very strong emotions that we have not met in ourselves. That is the seed of parasitism in your dream state. So if we want to learn to become lucid in dream state, we need to practice lucidity in waking state. I have an acronym called GPAC. Grounding, protection is your light body. It really means awareness. Alignment. Our chakra bodies, they're not just vortices, they're entire spheres and filters of perception. We can open and close our chakra bodies. If we don't know how to open and close them and clean them, we are full of debris and mixed energy. This is alignment. Co-creation, our crown chakra, one of our most powerful chakras, the center of manifestation. This is your higher self. And this is also the access to the Akashic records, to the DNA of the earth. When we heal, this is where we recover our memory. The 8th chakra, the connection to the source. you know? So we have to, those parts, most people, those are dormant. Of course, we're going to be full of parasites all the time. So we also have to open the channel ways of the body, the emotional body. Imagine your body is tight all the time with tension, with stress. Are you aware of that? Can you release that? Can you come into the present moment truly, authentically? That is the practice of cultivation of the 0 point. This practice is bleeding into dream state. And as all the ancient Egyptians, the Hopis, the Aymaras, the Mayans, you name it, ancient Hindu practices, Taoist practices, Sufis, all the ancient religions practiced becoming conscious in waking state so that we can become conscious in dream state. The discernment process is the more 0 point you are, the more expansive your range of frequency, vision-wise, beyond the human spectrum of light becomes, so that when you encounter an entity that is low, or they're manipulating themselves, or they're screening themselves, immediately you can tell. And the first question I ask, show your true self. Now, when you ask for that, you have to be ready to be shown all kinds of things, which means you maintain the 0 point. And for that, we are grounded. As soon as you start to feel fear, you immediately lower your frequency. Most people come back into the body, or sometimes they attract more scary things. Transmute, pause into love immediately. Unconditional self-love. From the 0 point emerges pure unconditional love. That is the most protection. Our most powerful protection is the embodiment of unconditional love. And so as you learn to anchor love, expanding your heart, your crown, geometrically, it creates a force field that allows you to become in resonance with higher vibrational beings. But again, we have to experience everything. So I just want to say that, yeah.
You mentioned about remembering our soul memories and highest self memories, because that is also the gateway of remembering our psychic abilities and powers that we have within us, or the gifts that we have, which we can share with the world. And you talked about opening up the crown chakra and the soul star chakra. So can you talk a little bit in depth about restoring our soul memories, the highest self memories?
Absolutely. Yes. Memories are bioelectrical. Okay, we are bioelectrical organisms. And the more conductive we become, the more we access our memory. Okay, all the ancient civilizations revered gold because gold is the most highest conductive metal that exists on this planet. But they also talked about monoatomic gold. Monoatomic gold is something that is produced by our pineal gland. When we raise our primordial creative life force, our sexual energy, up the spine and cultivate something called the chrism in the pineal gland. This chrism develops something called DMT. DMT allows us to open and expand the vision of our higher faculties in order to see and navigate higher dimensional realms, to leave and detach from the body. Essentially, the illusion is detachment, because we don't detach from anything, but we unfold from the body in order to experience, the astral plane. But the practice of that is based on the production of this gold. We are literally in the cells. It has been proven that there are little molecules of gold, particles of gold, that are found in the body when we grow gray matter in the brain over time. Now, gray matter is grown by sustained states of the 0 point, such as Vipassana meditation, deep meditation practices to clear the energy body, to work with alchemy. All of those are practices to help us. So the cultivation of your body, developing gray matter in the brain, begins to grow down the spine. And this conductivity, it's called the proper movement of your life force. When we do not have proper movement of the life force, we are blocked, and essentially we get ill and we die. So that's something that we need to understand. And we can live an entire lifetime of suffering in that way. Okay, we're very resilient. The human body is magnificent. A more productive, the invitation, the more productive, the more compassionate, the more vitality is to exist in harmony with yourself. And that opens up the energy pathways in the body. So this conductivity, this entire structure that I'm explaining creates high conductivity, which means that the transduction process of the movement of lower energy into higher energy becomes faster, and your vortex begins to spin faster. Creates geometry in the body called what we know as the Merkaba, which is when the points of the energy system begin to redirect from the earth. You see the point, the Star of David, right? It has the point on the bottom is closed. When you are out of alignment, your body's like this. Everything is towards the material, towards the physical, towards the external. The redirection of the creative life force up to the higher levels is actually the conductivity. This is where you recover your memory. So what happens is that you begin to activate your heart, you expand your heart, your throat, your third eye, you integrate your lower dantian, which is your root, your sacral, and your solar, your safety, security, your sexual energy, creative energy, and your emotional and your empowerment. These three centers integrated creates the strong foundation. They called it the stone from which the church was built on. Well, anyway, so many different examples of that. But the foundation is that we turn that matter into gold. And it's through the heart, love, unconditional love, that actually creates the activation of a violet light. So violet light is a light that is found in all particles of the entire universe. This is scientifically proven. When we meditate, a lot of my clients begin to see violet light in their meditation. And that's something that's developed. It also creates a certain vibrational tone that you start to hear. Dark meditation in darkness, total darkness, 3-4 days is an excellent way to develop the activation of your third eye and this violet visibility. And so what happens is that you're activating the doorway of your source through your 8th chakra, your 8th and your 7th chakra. The 7th is connected to the DNA of the earth. So what happens as you develop the DMT is that you start recovering your memories of your entire life. And this is what I did in my experience. I went through every single memory of the days of my life, even the moment I was in the crib, even the moment in my mother's womb. I remember every single thing in order to reintegrate any traumas, fractals of myself that were stagnant. That's one part of the memory. The second level of that memory is that you start to recover past lives. And we have millions of past lives. And every moment that you access the Akashic records, you're going to have access to different past lives because it's based on your resonance in the present moment. Okay, so you're going to start to recover those past lives. What is it? Repetitive programs, all the same programs you found, all the limitations of love that you found in yourself in your lifetime, you're going to start seeing them in other lifetimes, how you repeated them. And the invitation is to reintegrate. This is the memory system. The purpose is for you to remember who you are, which means how many times you have limited yourself from your authenticity and your ability to love unconditionally. And the human that begins to recover that memory can heal beyond themselves. We're healing an entire ancestral lineage because those past life memories, that's your ancestral lineage. You incarnated as your mother, you incarnated as your, it's so many incarnation possibilities, and we are one. So time is not linear, it's a spherical model. And so essentially the human becomes whole. The studies of Dr. Michael Levin that has been doing on the morphogenetic field is proving to us that memory is bioelectrical. Our human bodies become more electrical as we recover the memory because we are energy. So this is something that we are learning to do, and we heal the collective in this way.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I do understand that when you work with the chakra system, the more your consciousness expands and the more you get aligned with the highest, that is the source. And that is the gateway for opening the memories. And you talked about past lives, which are actually parallel lives. Everything is happening at the same time. So, yes, I completely resonate with that. You talked about DNA, and there are so many conceptions, misconceptions about DNA right now happening. Many think that we have a lot of junk DNA, and some think that that is not junk DNA, it is just dormant DNA which needs to be activated and probably reprogrammed because of the programs of the, like you said, that whether it's pharmaceutical or other conditioning and other programs that we are thrust upon since our childhood. The DNA is not programmed in the right way, and we need to kind of reprogram it so that we can have that highest potential experience that we can have here and co-create the reality, the highest vibration reality that we want over here. So what can we do to reprogram that DNA?
Yeah, so the reprogramming that we're talking about is epigenetically. And that is basically all the environmental factors that affect the organism. It doesn't mean that we're going to change shape or form, right? Because that would be the morphogenetic field. The morphogenetic field is the instruction manual. What is that? It's the instruction that says the finger, all the cells are going to grow. They're going to tell the cells to grow up until this length. They're going to tell the hair, the nose to keep growing, generating cells this shape. So, there is a certain structure and architecture to the body. All of this architecture of the body is produced by the 2% of DNA. Just 2% is all of the complex systems of this physical body. What is beyond that is what we have encoded in the morphogenetic field, the instruction manual. And what Dr. Michael Levin is helping us understand is that it's within the morphogenetic field, within that instruction manual, that is kept the memory of form. There's also an emotional element to that. There's a holographic epigenetic library to us. Based on my research, I find that every single human passes down even psychic abilities as well as trauma. Now, trauma scientifically has been reported to be passed down 20 generations. So our ancestors 20 generations ago, their trauma, we're still embodying it. It's literally in our body. We're repeating those patterns. The concept of epigenetic reprogramming is essentially acknowledging all of those patterns in our ancestral lineage that we are repeating, and the invitation would be to end them, no longer repeat them. Why? Because attached to those is illnesses, psychological complexities, complications, diet limitations, health, and then psychic and interdimensional limitations. Also, parasitism is passed down through the generations. Because remember that to be parasitic, it's psychological, biochemical memory, muscle memory, nervous system memory that is creating that memory in the body. So we have to deprogram that. And that requires a lot of awareness. So every day in my clients in DNA reprogramming, when I'm working with them, we're taking a look. Okay, what's the biochemical response to this trigger that is happening in your life? Everything that is your trigger, that's your gold right there. Your trigger is the key to unlocking your freedom. If you understand your trigger, you understand how to deprogram. We want to learn how to, first of all, end the pattern of trigger. So however we're reacting to the trigger, we have to interrupt that pattern. We're going to replace it with something that is more compassionate, more expansive, more creative. Everything is creating, but some things are counter-creating in a way that, we destroy ourselves eventually. The invitation is to expand in a much higher level. We lovingly, consciously end the repetition of parasitism within ourselves and within our ancestral lineage. This is how you activate DNA. And it's also how you activate memory genetically. Why? Because when you stop repeating the limited unconscious hypnosis of the human race, which is systematically indoctrinated, we're adopting patterns of our parents, and then we keep that pattern, and then, we have ancestors, generations of abuse, generations of suffering. So this is how we change and we clean our ancestral lineage. We activate DNA, which means that we are going beyond the cyclical limitations. This universe is cyclical. Everything in this universe is operating in cycles, including these kinds of traumatic memory that is encoded in our DNA. So as we begin to interrupt that, the activation of DNA is exactly the activation of the bioelectrical system of memory. And this is where we begin to uncover who we are beyond the limitations of our physical body. And we also uncover our psychic abilities that have gone down the ancestral lineage. And most important in this time is to learn how to heal yourself. Heal yourself. When we fill the body with love, the body comes into symmetrical order, and immediately we can eliminate viruses. This was a powerful study done by Dr. Joe Dispenza, but also the Heart Math Institute, who found that when the humans meditate for a long time, it's almost as if a force field of light develops around the cells, blocking the effect of infections or viruses. So our human body is incredibly potential. That is your free will. So this is where we are embodying that.
Yeah, beautifully explained.
Oh, good.
As you rightly said, that everything is cyclical, and we are coming out of those cycles where we are removing the bad programming that has happened by the environment, by the society, and we are working on the DNA to achieve our limitless potential. You have talked about healing ourselves and co-creating this beautiful reality. And yes, we are doing that in a step-by-step manner where we work on our shadows, triggers, and essentially work on our healing and break the patterns. Is there any way where we can quantum jump to the higher vibration timeline?
Yeah, come to the present moment. It's in the present moment. And of course, for many people, that can be challenging, to come into the present moment. Because in the present moment, you have to feel the things that you've been avoiding. In the present moment, you have to be aware with your authenticity. Many people are uncomfortable with their authenticity. And many people are afraid of the unknown. Quantum jumping is possible if you get out of your own way. But there are some steps, evolution. There is no magic pill for any of this. Why? Because you are a universe, and your DNA is a portal to many lifetimes and many people that are connected to you. We are existing in an interdependent system of consciousness. Your transformation process is the transmutation of disorder back into order. And that takes some time to really do it. Now, if you decide from one day to the next, I'm going to be in the present moment from this moment on, you can really clean things up quickly. Okay. But that has to be a choice. You have to be tired of suffering. You have to be willing. Your purpose has to be powerful love. Your pursuit for love and for truth has to be very powerful. Because if you don't revere truth and love, you're going to find many excuses to go back to old patterns, and you won't even know them. And we tend to turn these spiritual concepts into belief systems and, again, religions, where we externalize our power. And that's a problem. That's been a problem for many of us for a long time. The real work is to be in the present moment, to understand that you are the creator of your reality. And that's where the sovereignty takes place. So yeah, that's what I would say.
How can people connect with you?
Yeah, so if you'd like to work with me, my website, GeraldineOrozco.com. And also, I have a lot of free content on my YouTube channel at Geraldine Orozco. You guys can visit me there, and I'm happy to be of service. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll give all the links in the description. I absolutely love talking to you, and it has been absolute honor having you here as my guest. And I resonated with you at so many levels.
That's incredible. What a gift. We were brought together for this resonance, I think. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for watching and listening in wherever you are in the world. As Ramdas says, that we all are just walking each other home. So thank you for co-creating the new earth along with me and our guests. And if you resonate with me, do subscribe to my channel and do let us know how you find our episodes. Thank you so much. Lots of love.